I woke up on the kitchen floor with blood in my mouth and thunder inside my skull. Elena stood above me, robe white, eyes empty. "Finally," she said. "Get up." I pushed myself upright. Marcus lay on our couch, one hand on his chest, breathing like a bad actor. "Adrian," he whispered, "I didn't want this." "Then leave," I said. Elena placed 2 folders on the table. "Listen carefully." I wiped my lip. "You shoved me. You were emotional." She tapped the first folder. "Hospital forms." She tapped the second. "Divorce papers." My stomach turned. "What game is this?" "No game," she said. "They found a donor match for Marcus." I stared at her. "Who, you?" Marcus coughed twice, then peeked at me through half-closed eyes. I laughed once. "Absolutely not." Elena folded her arms. "Then sign everything and walk away with nothing. This is insane. This is fairness," she said. "You ruined my life when you married me while I still loved him." I felt colder than the tile. "You said you chose me." "I chose stability," she replied. "You had money, a future, a clean name." Marcus had dreams and debts. Marcus looked away. "So I was a wallet," I asked. "You were useful." The room went quiet except for Marcus's dramatic breathing. I looked at our wedding photo on the wall. "Every promise was fake," Elena shrugged. "Promises change." My hands shook, not fear, understanding. "Choose," she said. "Kidney today or divorce now." I reached into my pocket. Elena narrowed her eyes. "What are you doing?" "Making a third choice." I pulled out my phone. Marcus sat straighter. "Adrian." "Don't be stupid," Elena snapped. I unlocked the screen and pressed 3 numbers. 911. Elena lunged toward me. I stepped back when the operator answered. I said, "My wife is forcing organ donation through threats and fraud." Marcus stopped coughing. Elena whispered, "Hang up." I met her stare. "No," for the first time in years. I watched her lose control completely as sirens rose outside our building and neighbors opened their doors to listen, while I finally breathed like a free man, waiting for dawn to arrive after endless nights of fear and lies that ruled me for far too long. Today at last, now here alone anymore, because truth had arrived, and courage stayed beside me at last this morning. Without chains on my soul, I kept the call on speaker. Elena lunged for my phone. I stepped back and raised my voice. "My wife is forcing organ donation under threat." Silence slammed into the room, then panic entered hers. "Adrian, stop this," she hissed. "Give me the phone." Marcus pushed himself upright so fast I almost smiled. Interesting movement for a dying man. The operator spoke calmly. "Sir, I'm still here." "Are you safe for now?" I said. "If possible, move toward the door and wait outside." Elena lowered her voice. "Hang up now and we can talk." I laughed for the first time in months. It sounded strange coming out of me. "We're done talking." She switched masks instantly. Tears appeared. "Why are you doing this to me? You forgot to cry earlier," I said. A hard knock hit the door, then another. Police. Neighbors were already opening their doors across the hall. I saw faces peeking through chains and cracked frames. I opened my door. 2 officers entered. The woman in front looked at my lip, then the folders, then Elena's perfect tears. "I'm Officer Dana Cruz," she said. "Who called?" "I did." Elena sobbed louder. "He's abusive. He hit himself. He's unstable." Marcus coughed on command and leaned against the wall. "Please help her." Dana didn't move. She asked Elena, "Why are your eyes dry?" Elena blinked. Dana turned to Marcus. "And why did your breathing improve when I walked in?" He said nothing. I felt something sharp and clean rise inside me. "Officer," I said, "I have recordings." Elena spun toward me. "You promised you deleted those." I lied. I opened a folder on my phone and pressed play. Her voice filled the room. "Sign the donor consent or I'll ruin you." Another clip. "No one will believe a man crying." "Abuse." Another. "You exist because I allow it." The hallway went quiet. Dana held out her hand. "Send all of them to me." I did. Elena whispered, "Adrian, please." I looked at her and felt no urge to save her anymore. Dana nodded once. "Good. Keep sending everything." For years, I protected the people hurting me because I thought loyalty made me strong. Now I understood strategy mattered more than suffering. Marcus coughed again. Dana said, "Save the performance. You'll both answer questions downtown." I straightened my shoulders. For the first time, I wasn't defending myself. I was building my case brick by brick with truth instead of fear. And it felt stronger than love ever did before. I sat across from Detective Harris in a gray interview room. He clicked his pen. "Start simple. How long has this been happening?" I opened my mouth, then closed it. "Years," I said. "Be specific." I stared at the table. She cut me off from friends first. Said they were bad influences. Then, she took over the accounts, said I was careless. Then, she mocked my body, my job, my voice. Anything that made me feel small, Harris wrote quietly. What happened when you disagreed? I laughed without humor. She cried, then blamed me. Then said, "You're lucky I stayed, and you believed that." Yes, saying it out loud made me feel sick. The door burst open. Adrian, my sister Nora, stormed in before anyone stopped her. She looked at me, eyes burning, then smacked the back of my head. "What is wrong with you?" she shouted. I blinked. "Nice to see you too. You hid this," she said. From me, I stood, expecting a hug. She pointed at the chair. "Sit down and be ashamed first." Even Harris almost smiled. "I thought I could handle it," I said. "You thought suffering quietly was noble. I thought it was marriage." Nora's face softened for one second, then hardened again. "No," she said. "That was abuse with nice curtains." I looked away. Shame is a quiet prison. You lock yourself in and call it loyalty. Harris cleared his throat. "If evidence supports your claims," he said, "we're looking at coercion, fraud. Possible conspiracy involving medical consent." Nora whistled. "Good." My phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. I answered. A smooth male voice said, "My client Alina Vale is concerned about your mental state." "Who is this?" Her attorney. "We prefer discretion. Public false claims can damage everyone. I have recordings." Pause, then he said, "Trauma can distort memory." I hung up. Nora grabbed my phone. "Give me his number." "I just want to talk." Harris raised a hand. "Please don't." Another officer stepped in. "Marcus Reed checked himself into a private clinic," he said. Nora snorted. Amazing recovery speed, convenient timing. I leaned back and finally saw the truth clearly. They never trusted their innocence. They trusted my silence. Harris closed his notebook. "Can you keep talking?" I nodded. "Yes," I said. "I'm done protecting them." Nora pulled a chair beside me and crossed her arms. "Good," she said. "Because now you talk and I make sure you never shrink again." For the first time, family felt louder than fear. And I needed that noise badly inside my broken chest tonight there. I sat across from Dr. Samuel Lynn in a small office that smelled like paper and sanitizer. He opened a thick file and adjusted his glasses. "I reviewed Marcus Reed's records," he said, and his jaw tightened. "He was never in immediate danger." I blinked. "What?" "He needed treatment, monitoring, possible future options." He tapped the file. "Not an emergency transplant." I stared at the desk. "Alina said he could die any day." She used urgency as pressure. My chest went cold. "Doctor." Lynn slid another page toward me. "Look here. I saw my name, my signature, my consent, except I had never signed it." "That's fake," I said. "I know." My voice cracked. "Someone forged medical pre-consent forms." "Yes," I laughed once. "Empty and sharp." "This is insane. This is criminal," he corrected. I pressed my palms together to stop the shaking. It wasn't the lie that made me sick. It was knowing Alina believed I would obey even without it. She knew how trained I was to surrender. "Doctor." Lynn watched me quietly. "Why aren't you angrier?" he asked. "I am angry." "No," he said. "You are sad." "There's a difference." I looked away. He continued, softer now. "People who are mistreated too long often turn rage inward. They blame themselves. They call survival patience." His words landed where excuses used to live. "You're not angry enough," he said. I left with copies of everything that night. I returned to the house. No voices, no manipulation, just silence. I stood in the hallway and smelled Alina's perfume floating through the rooms like a ghost that still believed it owned me. I walked into the living room. Our wedding photo sat on the shelf. She was smiling at me in white lace. I looked younger. Foolish. Hopeful. I picked up the frame. "Who were you smiling at?" I asked the empty room. No answer came. I dropped it into the trash. Glass cracked. I waited for pain. Nothing. No tears, no rage, no grief, only blank space. That scared me more than heartbreak ever had. I sat on the couch Marcus once used as a stage and stared at the dark window. Maybe love had not died today. Maybe it died slowly, piece by piece, while I kept calling it marriage. My phone buzzed. "Nora, you okay?" I typed back. "I don't know what okay feels like." She replied instantly. "Good. Then we start there." I read that twice for the first time. Healing sounded less like comfort and more like work. I was finally ready to begin alone tonight in this hollow house, without lies anymore, now completely. Asterisk. Detective Harris spread bank statements across the table. "Recognize these transfers?" he asked. I scanned the numbers and felt my jaw tighten. "Yes. That's our joint account." He nodded. "Sent monthly to Marcus Reed. More pages followed, hotel bookings, luxury watches, private clinic payments, weekend flights. I let out a slow breath. She used my money. She used shared money, Harris said, legally messy. Morally clear, I almost laughed. For how long? 2 years. 2 years of me working late while she called me distant. Can I speak with her? I asked. Harris studied me. Why? I want to hear her say it. The meeting happened in a legal conference room. Alina entered wearing cream silk and calm arrogance. Adrian, she said, sitting down. You look tired, you look expensive, I replied. She smiled faintly. I pushed the statements toward her. Explain, she glanced once. I supported someone I cared about. With my money, with our money. Why Marcus? Her eyes softened in a way they never did for me, because he was the love of my life. The words landed lightly, maybe. Because I had already carried them for years. And me? I asked. She crossed her legs. You were the stable choice, I nodded slowly. A provider, a future, she corrected. No, I said. A wallet, she sighed. Must everything be dramatic? I stared at her. You forged medical consent. I was desperate. You stole. I adapted. You lied. I survived. Every answer came polished and shameless. Then she leaned forward. Let's end this intelligently, she said. Drop the charges. Give Marcus enough to continue treatment. I'll allow a peaceful divorce. Allow even now. She spoke like a queen addressing hired help. Something inside me finally stepped back from her. Not anger, distance. I folded my hands. You still don't understand, do you? Her smile faded. Understand what? You confuse patience with weakness. Silence filled the room, for the first time since I met her. Alina looked uncertain. I continued. I stayed because I believed love required endurance. I was wrong, Adrian, no. You mistook my kindness for obedience. Her face changed again, not sadness, fear, because she finally saw it. She had lost control. Harris opened the door. Time's up. Alina stood quickly. You'll regret humiliating me. I smiled. That threat used to work. I walked out first. Behind me, her heels struck the floor faster than before, for years. I chased her approval. Now she was chasing my attention. And I didn't want either anymore at all, not even once again. Ever after this day ended forever, they're behind me, now gone. My new apartment had thin walls, cheap furniture, and clean silence. I loved it immediately. No perfume in the hallway, no insults hidden inside jokes, no footsteps that made my stomach tighten, just space. A knock came at noon. I opened the door and found Victor Hale holding coffee and wearing the same sharp grin he always had. You look terrible, he said. Good to see you too. He stepped inside, looked around, and nodded. Small place, honest place. I laughed. That sounds like an insult. It's praise. We sat across from each other at a folding table. I heard everything, he said. Why didn't you call me sooner? I was embarrassed. You vanished first, he replied, then got embarrassed. Fair. Victor leaned back. Come consult for me. Not ready. More ready than you think. Been out for years. You disappeared in that marriage, he said. Not inability. The truth hit clean. I had not become weak. I had become contained. What would I do? I asked. What you used to do. Solve problems, lead rooms, make money. I smiled despite myself. You make it sound easy. It is, that's why it suits you. I said yes. The next weeks became simple. Gym at 6, work by 9. Therapy on Wednesdays, dinner without tension, sleep without listening for arguments. I started remembering my own voice. One afternoon, my phone rang. Adrian Vale, a woman asked. Yes, Mia Torres. I'm writing about coercive abuse and male victims. Would you consider an interview? My chest tightened. No, I said quickly. Understood, she replied. But silence protects patterns. I said nothing. She continued gently. Men stay quiet because they expect laughter. That's how abusers keep winning. After the call, I sat with those words for an hour. Then I called back. I'll do it, I said. Thank you, Mia answered. You may help someone you'll never meet. That night, Alina sent 20 messages. You ruined my reputation. We need to talk. I miss you. Marcus is suffering because of you. Please answer. I was angry. I didn't mean it. I read them all once, angry, sweet, begging, none honest. I blocked her number and set the phone down. Then I cooked eggs, burned them badly, and laughed alone in my kitchen. Power had not arrived loudly. It came through habits, through boundaries, through choosing peace again and again, until it felt normal enough to trust inside my own skin at last, without apology or fear anymore. Today they're truly finally for me, now alone, strong again. Mia texted me at 7:12 am. Your interview is live. I opened my phone. The headline hit first. When husbands Our victims too. I stared at it longer than I expected. Mia called immediately. Don't panic. Read the comments. I don't read comments. Read them anyway. I did, at first disbelief, then support, then anger on my behalf. My throat tightened. This is going viral, I said. Yes, Mia replied. People are listening. By noon, Victor called. Your ex's company suspended her, he said. I leaned against the wall. Already she underestimated how fast sympathy flips. I didn't respond. Then he added. Marcus's charity fund is under investigation. That made me pause. Fake illness donations, I asked. Looks like it. I exhaled slowly. So it wasn't just me. No, Victor said. It never is. That evening, old friends started texting. We didn't know, are you okay? We should have checked on you. I deleted them without replying. Not anger, just disinterest. Around midnight. I heard knocking, not loud, patient. I opened the door. Alina stood outside in the rain. No silk this time, just wet hair and shaking hands. I made mistakes, she said. I didn't move. She stepped closer. But I did love you in my own way. I let the silence stretch. Then I asked, did your love always need my body, money? And silence, her lips trembled. That's not fair, she whispered. Truth rarely is. Rain dripped between us. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she said suddenly. Everything got out of control. No, I replied. You just finally got seen. Her eyes filled fully now, real tears, not performance. Maybe consequences hurt more than guilt ever did. She reached for my hand. I stepped back immediately. She froze. Second. She looked like she might fall. I'm sorry, she said again. I know, I answered, but I didn't move forward. Some doors don't slam. They just close quietly when you stop holding them open. She nodded. Slowly. As if accepting something she couldn't undo. I lost you, she said. You never had me the way you thought, I replied. She stepped back into the rain. I closed the door, and for the first time, I didn't wonder if I should open it again, because I finally understood closure wasn't something you receive from others. It is something you decide inside yourself when you stop waiting for pain to apologize. I sat in the courtroom and watched everything unfold like it belonged to someone else's life. Judge Rowan Pierce adjusted her glasses. Bring the evidence. Papers hit the desk, forged signatures, bank transfers, medical forms, caution messages. Alina's lawyer stood quickly. Your Honor, this was emotional confusion, relationship stress. The judge raised a hand. Stop. Silence dropped instantly. She looked at the file again. This is not confusion. This is calculated abuse. I didn't move. Marcus sat 2 rows ahead of me. He didn't look sick anymore, just small. Like someone who ran out of places to hide. His lawyer whispered, accept the plea. He nodded once. Fraud charges, guilty plea. No eye contact with anyone. Alina turned slightly toward me. For a second, she looked like she used to when she still believed I would fix things for her. Then she stood. Your Honor, she said. Voice shaking, I want to say something. The judge leaned back. Brief. Alina turned fully now. I loved him, she said, pointing at Marcus. And I was trying to save him. I made sacrifices. Her voice cracked. I felt nothing. She continued louder. People don't understand what desperation does to someone. That word landed differently. Desperation. I finally spoke. Desperation doesn't justify stealing organs. Everyone turned slightly. I continued, still calm. Desperate people steal food. They don't forge medical consent. Alina stared at me like I had slapped her. The judge tapped the table. Enough. Decision is final. She read the ruling. Divorce granted. Assets divided in my favor due to misconduct. Protective orders approved. Restitution pending investigation. Each sentence felt clean. Final. Legal closure instead of emotional chaos. Alina stepped forward again. Adrian, security moved slightly. She stopped. Her voice dropped. You ruined my life. I met her eyes for a second. I almost answered, then I didn't, because there was nothing left to argue. Marcus looked down at the floor. Alina looked at me like I was the ending she didn't want to accept. I stood up slowly. I did say anything because I didn't need to. She wasn't destroyed by me. She was just finally standing inside the consequences. She built one lie at a time. Brick by brick. Without realizing, she was constructing her own fall the whole time, until it was too late to stop it, now finally here in silence, where truth had already spoken louder than anyone else ever could. Again, months passed. But my life stopped feeling like something I was surviving and started feeling like something I was building. I sat in therapy and said, I still wake up expecting chaos. My therapist nodded. That's normal after control-based abuse. I frowned. It feels like I should be over it by now, she replied. You don't get over it. You rewire it. That word stayed with me, rewire. After sessions, I called Nora. I'm trying, I said. She sighed. Good, because I'm not carrying you anymore. I smiled. Fair, but she added softer. I forgive you slowly. I closed my eyes. I'll take slow. Victor called next. Partnership agreement is ready, he said. I leaned back. You actually meant it. I don't joke about money, he replied. I laughed. That's why I trust you. Work started to feel like breathing again. No fear in meetings. No permission needed. Just decisions. Mia came into my life differently, at first. It was interviews, then coffee after work, then silence that didn't feel heavy. One night she said, "You talk less when you're finally safe." I replied, "I don't know how to explain that difference yet." She nodded. "You don't have to." We sat outside late, watching streetlights flicker. She asked, "Do you ever miss her?" I didn't answer immediately. Then I said, "I miss the person I thought she was." Mia didn't judge that. She just said, "That version didn't exist." I knew she was right. Then one evening, I found an envelope outside my door. No return name. Inside was Alina's handwriting, just one line. I didn't know how empty I was until everything was gone. I read it once, then I stood up and went. Outside, I lit a small fire in a metal tray. The letter burned fast. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel victory, just distance. Mia watched from the stairs. "Closure?" she asked. I shook my head. "No." "Then what was that?" I stared at the fading ash. "Final proof that I don't need answers anymore." She stepped closer. "And Alina," I looked at her. Some truths arrived too late to matter. The fire died, and for the first time, I didn't feel like someone recovering from my past. I felt like someone finally not living inside it anymore, at last completely free now, without looking back ever again from this moment forward here. Stood behind the stage curtain. Adjusting my sleeve, a staff member said, "You ready?" I replied, "I think so." She smiled. "That's what everyone says right before they change lives." I walked onto the stage. Applause hit me. But it didn't shake me like before. I looked at the crowd, survivors, listeners, people who understood silence too well. I spoke into the mic. "My name is Adrian, and I used to think surviving meant staying." Quiet, a few heads nodded. I continued. "My voice used to shake when I said my own name." Pause. "Now it doesn't." A small silence formed, like the room was listening harder. I said, "The most dangerous trap isn't cruelty." I looked down for a second. "It's getting used to cruelty." A woman in the front row lowered her eyes. I went on. "I was given two choices once." Someone in the audience whispered, "What choices?" I answered, "Lose a kidney or lose my marriage." A few people shifted uncomfortably. Then I added, "I chose 911. A dark laugh moved through the room, but it faded quickly because they were waiting for the meaning. I leaned forward slightly. "I didn't choose panic," I said. "I chose evidence." A man in the back nodded slowly. "I chose self-respect," I continued. A quiet spread across the hall. "I chose to believe pain was not normal." No one clapped yet. They were thinking. Vanished. And that changed everything. Silence stayed for a moment longer. Then applause came, real and steady this time, after I stepped off stage. I exhaled like I had been holding my breath for years. Mia was waiting outside. She didn't say anything at first. She just looked at me. Then she said, "You didn't sound like someone surviving anymore." I replied, "I'm not." She smiled slightly. "What are you then?" I thought for a moment. "Someone rebuilding," I said. She stepped closer. "That sounds better." I nodded. We stood there quietly, no urgency, no pressure, just space. Then she slipped her hand into mine, no hesitation, no fear, just warmth. My phone buzzed, unknown number. I looked at it. Mia noticed. "Do you need to answer?" I shook my head. "I don't need unknown anymore." I deleted it without reading. Mia squeezed my hand gently. "Some endings are loud," I said. She asked, "And yours?" I looked at the empty street ahead. Mine was one button pressed on a phone. She smiled. "And beginnings," I exhaled. "Quiet," I said. Like this, we started walking. I finally understood something I never understood in that old life. Being needed was not the same as being loved. One drains you, the other builds you, and I had finally learned not to confuse the two again. Not ever. Not for anyone. Not for anything that tried to pull me back into a version of myself I had already buried with my own hands that night when I chose 911 and finally chose me instead for the very first time in my life. Completely free now and finally at peace.